All right, we are back for another episode of Kickstart Connections. I know it's been way too long and promises broken all over the place by me. We're supposed to be bi-weekly all year. I know, but I'm back. Lucy isn't here. She actually has some big news, and I'm gonna hold off. I'll let her tell you guys in the episode that's gonna be out after this one. Super big news. I guess big news for me. It's been a long time. There's news all over the place. Well, we'll get to that eventually. Today, I'm honored to have a old friend of the show, the first ever guest on Brand New View. For any of you mega BNV fans, I know there's 1.5 of you out there. That was the first podcast. That's how this all got started. I was doing it with my good friend Ben Brammer. Jon was the first episode of many. Met some great people on there, and you kickstarted it. You got it all. You like that? It's just mixed in kickstart there. You got us all started. That was, it aired. I listened to it the other night, actually. It aired December 8th, I believe, 2018, which I think we probably would have recorded it in like October of 2018. So it's pretty much 7 years ago, which is
in my living room.
In your living room, you're still there.
Still there.
Shout out Morris Street. Won't give the actual. Won't geotag you. Not trying to do that today. Yeah, not trying to dock you. But that was almost 7 years ago. You were a wee young boy in the film industry. You graduated from New York Film Institute that year or the year prior?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
That was 5 years before that. The way Ben was talking on that episode, it was like it just happened.
Feels like it just happened.
Yeah, he was like, big deal. And you're like, not really. So that was 2013. Okay, so 7 years on, you are back to talk about the one and only Popsy. And Popsy was about, I think it was in post-production when we recorded that.
Yeah.
I think you may have sent me it early, just like you
probably
did the other day, because I remember getting that and then a password to it as well.
Yeah.
So it was. Did it come out? Did it debut at Park Lane later that fall or the fall? It would have.
Yeah. So if we were speaking in December 2018, we filmed it Remembrance Day weekend 2018. I think somewhere mid-November.
Yeah.
And then it would have premiered at the festival formerly known as Finn and now Atlantic International. The fall of AIF in 2019, and it's just 7 years on. It's just picked up a whole new world of its own. It's got legs again.
I love to hear that, because I remember. I mean, you sent it the other day, so I rewatched it, and I knew it was like there's a vampire thing. It was short and sweet. But rewatching it, I was like, oh, okay, now I see. It's like a much deeper level at the what a monster is. Because yes, there are vampires,
sure,
but they're not the ones committing any.
Yeah, that was
evil acts.
It's funny because when I talk about it, it's like it's from a book of short stories from 1993 called Nightmares and Dreamscapes. So when I talk about it, I'm not too concerned about spoilers or anything. So
fair. Yeah, Popsy's been out long enough that you can well, just in case, spoiler alert coming forward for the next 5 minutes.
So
just kidding, the whole show.
It's 7 years on here. So Popsy was from a book of short stories called Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King.
Right.
And I came across it because there was this kind of urban legend, what I thought was an urban legend called the Dollar Baby Program. Which,
yes.
Wait,
so that wasn't like a sure thing.
No. Like I remember hearing about it as a kid, and then, as the internet grew and grew and my like fandom of Stephen King grew and grew, started to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Go to this super creepy website. Like it honestly felt like
GeoCities.
Yeah, it felt like that Habbo hotel.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Same like era, but then again, this was like 2016, 2017 when I started looking into it. And sure enough, it was this real thing where Stephen King was selling the rights to his short stories for $1 for up and coming filmmakers.
Right.
And the program it started in 1977. It ended at the end of 2024. So it's now like a legacy thing.
I didn't know it ended. Okay.
Yeah. So since 2024, there's been like festivals that are starting to celebrate it again. And anyway, I went on and I saw the list of potential short stories that were on the list, and
Can they be made more than once, or is it?
they can be,
Okay.
yeah. So you literally have to send an American dollar to this PO
I
box.
joked whether or not you sent a loony on the.
Yeah, I should have. I would have hadn't needed to send them like $1.45.
This isn't enough.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
So, yeah, I applied. I wrote a short screenplay for Popsy of what I thought could be a cool take on it kind of thing. I had watched a few of the other iterations of Popsy. I could find 2 online that had already been made.
Right. Does the short story itself have a cliffhanger up for interpretation, or is that more of your take?
Sort of like it. So the short story, I guess, it's about this man who you meet him and he is in a meeting with like an Eastern European mob boss, basically.
Okay.
And you start to learn that this guy needs to pay off his gambling debts. And the only way, the offer he is given is if like he abducts a kid and brings it to this mob boss.
All right.
He just keeps saying like, then he'll go on a really long boat trip. And which is weird now what's going on with islands in the world that traffic children. So it remains relevant.
Ahead of your time there, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, anyway, so we follow this guy who then the character is played by Rob Ramsey in my short take of it. And he abducts
I actually
a kid
had the wrong take on where he was taking that kid, but.
Oh, well, to be fair, it's like
sort of open for.
Yeah. Cause
on your end, yeah.
Which was bold at the time because I've since learned like how I thought I was a Stephen King fan, but like once you get into that, like if you create something that goes into that cinematic universe, you meet some people who are like, could tell you the color of every shirt that every character wore on what page kind of thing.
True fandom.
Oh yeah. And I actually removed the whole mob boss thing.
Yeah.
So in the short that I made, we just meet Rob. And that was to remove any kind of empathy or sympathy that we would have for this guy. And so we meet Rob and you don't really know what he's up to, but he's off to a shopping center where he meets a kid.
Yeah.
And successfully gets him into the back of his creepy white van. And then insanity kind of ensues after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before he does that, an ode to Stephen King. Well, there are a couple of odes in the short story, but switching the license plate from the one and only New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Maine.
Shout out to me in New Brunswick. We filmed it in my hometown of Fredericton and just tried to make as many like cool references to Stephen King through interviews of his. I just like studied up on what he thought was cool, what he thought was quirky, what he liked about movies. Tried to include as much of that as possible. It's a very like straightforward horror short. So we were able to approach it as a very like pulp kind of like punk rock. Like we're not showing up trying to do anything over the top. You always want to get to that line and not cross it. You don't want to like show your limitations as a short filmmaker. So in that respect, I think that we did a pretty good job. And now we're here 7 years later because it's going to the Academy Museum, which is wild.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that. We certainly are. But I guess, back to you saying there was a huge vault of different, and there was just short stories or
short stories.
Yeah, just short stories.
Yep.
So how'd you land on Popsy out of all? I mean, I assume there's a pretty big choice. He's a pretty prolific writer, this Stephen King.
And I've heard like, again, it all still feels like urban legend. Like there's still stuff about the Dollar Baby program that like I cannot confirm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've heard that he would like, certain stories were available until like 1982. And then he'd bring in, and of course he's still writing. Yeah. So the course of like what short stories were available would change over time. Right. And of course, if you had the rights to it for a year, they took it off the list until it became available again, kind of thing. But Popsy stood out because when I was a kid, my mom started giving me Stephen King books. And she was always talking about this one story that had such a great ending about this little boy being abducted and just repeating over and over, like, my Popsy's going to be really mad at you. My Popsy's going to be really mad at you. And the kidnapper not paying any attention to him. And then when Popsy shows up, he's a vampire.
Yeah.
And just fucks him up.
He sure
Basically,
does.
yeah.
He does in that short story
Yeah.
in the movie too.
Mhm.
Kind of brutal. He goes for a while. It's a long,
Yeah.
cold ending.
Yeah, big long take at the end during the credits, which like I've always tried to keep my credits as like fluid as possible because it's pretty good real estate, I think. Like it's still screen time. So ending on that last shot, and then like needing to sit in it and watch the kid walk away with his grandfather, like
Mm.
kind of walking off into the sunset, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I get
then
that.
just leaving poor Rob in the van. Felt right.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
Happens. So you've been, you actually said in the, and I mean, most people listening to this, they haven't listened to the first episode from Brand New View that we did together. But you did mention that you weren't necessarily like fully interested in film younger with like your friends and everything. And more it was like a sports thing, but you were always writing. You always took an interest in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and everyone watches movies growing up, of course. Was horror always your favorite, your go-to genre, or was it?
It's like looking back now, it was always around because I have two older sisters, and like in 1996, the movie Scream came out that changed horror forever.
Yeah.
And so I had parents who were very supportive of me being the baby of the family, just watching whatever my sisters were watching. So saw movies like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, like when they came out in the 90s, and then got an interest. And we have a cottage in New Brunswick that we would load up at Blockbuster, moving out there for like the week or the weekend or whatever. And then my mom introduced me to like the classics of like Carrie and The Omen and all these like Rosemary's Baby, like all these great, The Shining, like all these great horror classics from the 70s and the 80s. Black Christmas was another big one that my mom loved.
Forgot about that one.
So I just remember watching those late at night, and then started on my own kind of mission watching like Halloween and all the Elm Streets and the Friday the 13th. And then, you know, this like big kind of surge that horror had in the 90s just kind of hit me at the right time. Yeah. And then started reading Stephen King in middle school. And then so obviously I got really into it and The Shining, and my sister's favorite movie of all time is Stand By Me. And it just like, you can see kind of a natural progression into horror. And then, yeah, like you said, like it never felt like it was ever going to be a career or anything. Growing up in Fredericton, New Brunswick, like played sports as a kid, but there was something about it, especially when those kids are, all those scenes of them going around on their bikes in the summertime. It's like, that reminded me a lot of my friends growing up in New Brunswick. And I was the same age as those kids when I was reading the book, and it just all really clicked. So then I became obsessed with Stephen King at a young age. He is the greatest of all time. He's basically like a genre onto himself now.
Yeah.
And
how many books does he claim to have written?
God, I have no idea.
Thousands?
Couldn't tell you. I'm sure. Yeah. How many of them are published, I don't know. But like, even I saw that like Life of Chuck, which they just made the movie of, Mike Flanagan made, that was like a throwaway novella that he wrote. I don't know when, but then they published it in 2019 with 3 other novellas just because it was like sitting on a shelf. Wow. And then that was one of the better movies I saw this year. Yeah. So he's prolific, to say the least.
Is that Tom Hiddleston?
It is.
There you go. So you said it was really it, and by extension, of course, Stephen King, that really brought you into that world of cinema, and then you potentially seeing it as some sort of a career path. I think you went to Acadia. What did you take at Acadia?
Took political science at Acadia.
Political science.
English major, dropout.
Classic.
Thought that there'd be a lot more creative writing involved, because I was writing as a kid like quite a bit. It was just a hobby of mine. And especially once I started like reading books and in high school and realizing that like how cool writing is, like when it's done well. And then I wanted to be one of those cool writers kind of thing.
Yeah, fair.
So then I went to Acadia, like big doughy-eyed kid wanting to go write the next best Canadian novel,
of course,
or whatever. For a while at Acadia, I wanted to be a poet, which I'm sure my parents were nervous about.
Did they have any slam poetry events?
No,
Okay,
no, and
yeah,
I
no.
could never get up on stage and rap my poetry. And then, switched into political science. I had a lot of great professors, and I'm glad that I did because it kind of gave me a baseline to be prepared for the world as it is now.
Yeah.
And then it was probably my third or fourth year at Acadia trying to figure out what's next kind of thing, and was talking to my mom about it. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I really like movies. And she was like, that's great. So do I. So why don't you go do something about it? So started to applying to a bunch of schools with a short story that I wrote about a kid in the hospital whose roommate was a huge weirdo. And then got into a few schools and then went to the New York Film Academy for screenwriting and graduated in 2013.
Right.
And then started making short docs for a few years, and then got linked up with Rob Ramsey. I met him at Acadia. We were on the same floor at Acadia. And he and I started writing together. We put out a few short films, one called Missy that got picked up by CBC.
Right. Yeah.
Which was like borderline thriller, horror, depending on like Cabin in the Woods, isolation kind of.
It's creepy.
Horror
for sure.
movie. Yeah. Guy falls in love with a mannequin.
Hey.
And yeah.
Once again, ahead of your time.
Yeah, sure. And we did one called Rear View, which was about a guy who commits a hit and run. We just followed him for 24 hours, basically. That was the first one ever.
I remember that one.
Yeah. And then, and then I think it was really like the success of Missy that I think that's why maybe the Dollar Baby program took me seriously a little bit to be able to.
Yeah, what did that look like, the application?
So it was pretty straightforward. It was like a one-page letter, like introducing yourself. And I think that was just to filter out the people who just saw it as some sort of an opportunity. Like, although obviously Stephen King is so like generous just to have this program to begin with. I don't know any other author or artist who lets this stuff out the door for $1 kind of thing, out of the goodness of his heart, and to give back to movies, and to put that hand up to young filmmakers. But so I had to write a letter of intent, basically, and say, like, I grew up in I played the New Brunswick angle so hard, and like, we're an extension
basically
of Maine.
Maine,
Maine is an extension of New Brunswick, and I grew up in the woods too. And then I wrote, I think the screenplay was like 11 pages or so, and I submitted that. Didn't hear anything for about a month, and it would have been right around this time in 2017 because I was out for a birthday dinner.
Yeah,
and I got an email that was like, "Yep, send us the $1 and we'll send you a contract." So
just like that. Wow.
Yeah, and my sister was living in Boston at the time, so I like rushed home to my apartment and had all this like loose American change kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even at that point, I still thought, I was like, this is an urban legend. Like, there's no way. Like, each stage of it was very, this feels spooky or like feels Stephen King-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure enough, put the $1 in the mail. A couple weeks later, got an email, received your $1. Here's your contract. These are the things that you need to do. These are the things that you can't do. It was really interesting. One thing is I could never call the film Stephen King's Popsy. Like, I wasn't allowed to use his name.
Right, yeah.
But I was allowed to use him in the credits as like based upon the short story by Stephen King.
Yeah.
And then written by Jon Mann. And just even that was, again, like another moment of like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
like seeing those credits and but they liked it. They didn't say anything about me cutting out the part of the story where there's a mob boss at all. Like, they were just like, go for it. We see it. We believe in it. So you're off to the races. And I had a year to wrap production on it, which with a short film, it like wasn't that bad, but it was probably like December 2017 that the contract got done. And then November 2018, we filmed it.
Right.
And then premiered 2019, the following September.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else. So it premiered 2019. I remember going to see it. It was at Park Lane. How was that? So it was part of Finn at the time.
Mhm.
How did you submit that? That was in the horror category?
Yeah, I
Or-
guess so. Like they've changed it around because another short, a horror short that I wrote this year was in the festival, and they used to block all the horror shorts together, and
Mhm.
this year they did not. So I believe I think it was like a late screening too. Like it was like an 11 p.m. They used to do like the Midnight Madness
Right,
screening.
yeah.
So I think it was um screening with other horrors that night. And I just remember like the crowd being unusually large. And that's just like a testament to having Stephen King's name attached to anything.
Fair. Yeah. People are going
Let
to take
alone like
notice.
asses in seats for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was funny because at the time, It Chapter 2 had opened the previous weekend, and Rob Ramsey's
great timing.
also in that. So
Oh, yeah.
the joke was always that like Rob was only doing Stephen King work.
Yeah.
Because he was in,
Exclusive contract.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then it's just like, again, just the timing and the surrealness of like the story behind the film has been surreal, I guess is the word to use.
So after the film premiered, which is pretty much 6 years ago now, was there a lot of fanfare? Like, how did we get from that day in 2019 to what we're about to talk about, the big honor that Popsy is receiving?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to tell with like short films. Everybody will tell me that they loved it, you know, like to my face sort of thing with anything. But there was like a weird life of its own that it took over where it played at other festivals and always had a buzz around it because of Stephen King. And but then when the pandemic hit, there was this really great festival in BC where a guy named Norm Coyne, who I owe a lot to Norm, he organized this thing called the Stephen King Rules Festival. And it was all online. They played like $43 babies. Like he went like ham into it and was able to like organize this crazy festival.
Throughout the years, like on average, how many, like obviously it's over now, but every year, how many Dollar Baby movies were being made?
I don't know. It was 47 years. And just the fact that I think that I was the third iteration of Popsy. I mean, I don't think it would be in the thousands, but it would be close to it, like 47-year program. And after that festival, I was approached by someone who was writing a book on the Dollar Baby program. His name's Anthony Northrup. And Anthony interviewed me for that book, which was pretty big honor in itself. Another guy named Andrew Rausch, who wrote the book. I'm going to butcher the title, but it's something like The Ultimate Stephen King Movie Book. And he gave us like a really, really, really good review that we were able to use on the poster. And then that just all started to snowball. And then, like, I believe because of the rules that we have with the Dollar Baby, like where it's allowed to be seen, the Stephen King Rules Fest during COVID was the first time that anybody had organized a film festival strictly of Dollar Babies. So that was really great opportunity. And then this past year, there was something called King Con, and it was in Vegas. It was a big Stephen King convention. It got asked to screen there with like 18 others or something. And they're doing that again this year in Atlantic City. And so it just like kept not going away. It felt like every 8 months or so, I'd get an email asking if we could screen it at this event or that event. And then, so as far as its like legacy, it is sort of lived on. Like Missy and another movie I made called Cahoots came out in 2018. No one's asking to screen those anywhere.
I remember both of those. So, as you said, Popsy debuts in 2019 and then kind of sprinkled throughout the following years. It's getting honored, it's getting shown at different festivals. When did you get that? Was it an email from the Academy or was it a phone call? How did that all go down?
So I got an email back in February from an Academy member that was on the Shorts branch. They're called the Shorts branch board. And they said that for 4 nights a year, they program a series of shorts for a night. And it's at the theater, at the Academy Museum, Motion Pictures. And they do these events quarterly. There's always a theme to them. And because the program had just ended, they were asking me if I thought it was a good time. Like, would people be interested if there was a Dollar Baby program night kind of thing? And really like asking me about the program. Like, so what was this all about? We don't really get it. We've heard rumblings of it, whatever.
Right.
So that was back in February. And I was like, I think that
like, we've heard it's an urban legend too.
Yeah, exactly. And like, starting to get emails from people with like @oscars.org emails. I was like, this is still just being weird, continuing to be weird.
You're in the Twilight Zone. You've been all along.
Honestly. I'm probably in like a white padded room right now.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And so that was February. And then I was like, yeah, of course. I think people, like, I started pitching them.
Yeah,
like,
you're
of course.
like, obviously.
Yes, 100% people would be interested in this. And then a couple months later, I got an email that had like a Google Doc attached to it. And it had a few titles with their run times because they were starting to build like basically a pitch to the other board members at the Academy.
Right.
To pitch this idea of a Dollar Baby night as part of their shorts programming. And then, so that started to get pretty real. That was back in May. And then it was in July, I got an email again from them asking if I would be interested in being part of it. And I was like, yes, like, come on, what do you mean?
No, I'll have to pass. Sorry.
And then I remember I didn't hear anything back for about 2 weeks. And I was like, I said something wrong. I spelled something wrong in my email.
Right.
They think I'm an
rereading
idiot.
it over and over. Yeah.
And then, they reached back out and they were like, we'd love to talk with you about being able to show it as a screening. Myself and 5 other filmmakers. And it spans like, I think I mentioned the program started in 1977. And I think that their screening, like the earliest one was made in 1980 that they're screening. And then right up to Jackie Perez is someone who, she's from LA and she made one. I believe hers came out in 2020. So it spans pretty decent. There's
good 40 years. Harder to like keep hold of a short.
Well, that's
made in the 80s.
That's the thing too, is that they'd have to reach out to these people like, do you have, like, is there even a digital copy that exists if the original like film reel doesn't exist? Like, how do we, and maybe that worked in my favor a little bit. I have no idea. Not going to ask too many questions.
No.
But yeah, it's cool the way that they did it. Like, I know that they're screening one by a guy named Jay Holden, and Jay's movie, his Dollar Baby, came out in the early 2000s, and it is known as like the first Dollar Baby of the internet. And he got special permission at the time. Like, he was like, I'm going to put this on the internet.
Yeah.
And Stephen King's people were like, go for it, whatever, man. Like, sure, go for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that did a lot for the program. Like, it validated the program into this like digital age.
Yeah.
And I feel fortunate they chose, like, they curated it to be 3 from the early years of the program and then 3 contemporary from the program. So that would be myself, Jackie Perez from LA, and Selena Sonderman, who's a German filmmaker. And Selena, Jackie, and I have all been at those like King Con and at the Stephen King Rules Festival. So I've seen their films and they're unbelievable. Yeah, you can start to see how they're curating it. You have Jay's, which was big for the internet, the early days of the internet. You have Selena from Germany and just like the worldwide, like global, universal love for Stephen King storytelling. And then proudly, I'm the only Canadian going, which is very exciting. And
so you have Canadian and German, and the rest American?
Jackie is based in LA, and then the other 3, I believe, are American.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I believe so.
Very cool. So, I mean, I'm a big horror fan, so is my fiance Rilla. I think horror has always stood the test of time, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't realize that some massive movie stars got their start in horror. Does the Academy recognizing horror in this way, starting this Dollar Baby night, is it a sign of them? And I guess I should put the caveat of the horror isn't necessarily recognized on Academy night or Golden Globes night. Is this kind of them starting to embrace it? Like, what does the future of horror look like? Is there a best horror actress and actor coming out category?
I mean, I cannot speak for the Academy at all. But I hope so. I think that horror is just like having such a massive moment right now. Like you look at this year with like Weapons and Sinners.
Was great.
And
Sinners was very good.
Long Legs from last year from Oz Perkins. True. Like it is kind of becoming, not only are they starting to be commercially successful, but it does have a bit of a buzz around it again, which I don't think that it has really had since the 90s, like when Scream flipped everything on its head after like the slasher movies of the 80s. And I do hope that like a night like this, not only to recognize like how cool is it that the Academy is recognizing a program that fundamentally started with a hand up to young filmmakers like coming up, trying to make a name for themselves. And then also at the same time honoring Stephen King and what he has done, whether directly or indirectly, for movies that all of us grew up on. So it does feel like there is almost like a handout right now to the horror genre of welcoming them into the like highest honor of film, which is to be playing at the Academy Museum, which is absolutely still like it was such an honor just to be accepted into the program. Continues to be an honor every time people want to talk about that Popsy, like people want to talk about that movie. And now like to be honored, just it makes me a terrible podcast guest because I can't even speak about it. Like I go speechless talking about like
that's okay.
Yeah.
That I mean, we're getting the point for sure. So I think you're right. I think maybe another aspect of this is, since COVID, to bring that up again, we're trying not to bring COVID up too much anymore, but people got used to not going out anymore, and going to the movies was one of those big things that I think took a while to get back to some form of normalcy.
Yeah.
When I think of horror movies, like that's kind of an experience that you want to be in a theater for.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing The Ring in theaters, snuck in, don't say anything, Cineplex. It was Empire back then. And just terrified in that like second or third row, and everyone there is like, it's dead silence when she's coming out of the TV.
Oh,
it's nuts,
so fun.
right?
So much fun.
And like you can't have that necessarily with like a drama that would have been top of the box office 10, 20 years ago. So maybe there's this resurgence in part because like horror movies, they've always had a cult following, and it would always make more sense to see it with an experience.
Yeah, it's a very like communal thing. And I think that fear, to get like really on the couch about it, it's like fear is so universal. It's the most universal thing.
It is.
Like everybody is afraid of something. Primal. It is very primal. From an evolutionary standpoint, humans have been afraid forever. Like since the days of us not being at the top of the food chain kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a survival tactic.
And I think that it is important for people to have the emotion of fear. And I think what people love about horror movies is that it's so contained. And I don't really know, obviously other genres do this, but a good horror movie, like you will laugh, scream, and cry like within 90 minutes. And it's like, that is unbelievable. And you talk about like why Stephen King movie or why his stories like translate so well to film is that I think that when you boil a lot of his stories down, they are very like family oriented stories, like even The Shining. It's like that's a guy trying to get a grip on his alcoholism for his wife and young son.
Yeah.
And then it goes off the rails.
He does not get the grip.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. And another universal theme too that horror deals with a lot is grief. And like a lot of his stories deal with grief. Even you mentioned like Stand By Me or The Body. Those 4 boys in Stand By Me are hanging out on Labor Day weekend before high school, and they like are actively talking about how they know it's the last time the 4 of them are going to hang out because 2 of them will be sent to like remedial classes and 2 of them will be sent to like learn shop and woodworking. And it's like they're hanging on to like that last bit of their friendship. And I just think that like grief hits, even like the movie Sixth Sense, like that's about a family. That's about like a mother trying to figure out her son and what's going on with him. And that's a horror that it was one of the first ones that I saw that was like, there are moments in that movie that are very funny because you're on edge the whole time. So like you want to laugh. It's terrifying. And there are scenes between like this mother and son that are just like so dramatic and touching. And like, it just hits human nature on every level.
That's a good point. Do you think the best horror is one that kind of meshes together real life horror and fear with that kind of, I don't want to say supernatural because there's different, but that supernatural sort of Sixth Sense, it's a ghost, which, you know, people argue ghosts are real.
Yeah.
But that's the supernatural aspect. But then the other side is there's the grief of, they know that they've lost their father, but he doesn't know it. Oh, spoiler for Sixth Sense if you haven't seen that. But it has that, like, it draws you in because it's fear that you can relate to, I think, on a human level. And then you have like the actual entertainment fear aspect, if that makes sense.
Like you mentioned Jaws earlier, which is my favorite movie of all time. And like, not many of us have to worry about sharks. Like literally,
but we were worried.
We were, like that. That's how effective that movie was. Yeah. It's like no one went to the beach that summer.
Didn't even go in the pool.
Exactly. But what that movie does, and if you want to classify, some people classify Jaws as a horror. It's like a monster movie, which is like a subgenre kind of thing. But what that movie did so well is like you have a police chief who left New York because he felt like he wasn't making a difference. So as long as you have like these characters with great motivation, or you go skip ahead to 1996 with Scream, and it's like Neve Campbell's character, Sidney Prescott, is grieving her mother who was murdered a year before. Right. Like there is so much reality that can be put into horror that I think, to answer your question, it's like a good horror hits those things. And that's what was missing in movies in the 80s when it was just like a bunch of kids, premarital sex. If you have premarital sex, you'll get slashed up in the woods kind of thing. Like not a ton of real, like, not that there wasn't good storytelling, but
that's propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. But again, and like also horror, I find the good horrors, like they hold a mirror up to society of like the zeitgeist of everything that's going on. And a movie like Weapons this year is so clearly about school shootings.
Yeah.
There's one part in that movie that's pretty like, it beats you over the head with it. But for the rest of it, it's just like these kids who, like a lost generation of kids in this small town. And it's like, well, what do you think that's about? You know?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Awesome movie. And also, and you do find yourself laughing.
Yeah.
And every emotion. Because it's true. Some people who get really scared start laughing. It's like,
totally.
Those are two very
nerves
close.
Are shot.
Yeah. It's interesting. The nervous laugh, the classic. Yeah. So when does all this go down? When is Dollar Baby Night?
So the evening that they're hosting is on November 19th. So it's quickly coming up. I believe it's 3 weeks from
When's your
Wednesday.
Flight?
Monday the 17th.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll head down.
Nice one.
Yeah. My mom and dad and one of my sisters.
That's great. That's great. So this could be a loaded question because, I was going to ask you regardless of this, you know, what's next for you? What's up? What's recent for you? But now with this new honor, it's been 7 years since that podcast episode, and it's been 6 years since Popsy was shown. Do you expand on Popsy? Do you get back into that world?
Yeah, like I have recently like fallen back in love with horror and like telling those stories. And I think it is because of this resurgence of what we're seeing of like very elevated horror, like people pushing the envelope. And I'm not saying like this is why I would want to do it, but like the success at the box office of those, that genre of horror that we're seeing recently, I think that it is very inspiring. And it's not so much like the box office numbers, but it's like the amount of people who I know wouldn't have seen a horror movie 5 years ago want to talk about weapons or want to talk about sinners or whatever. So like that's super exciting. So a couple years ago, I wrote a very, very, very like micro short horror called Sweetie, and very simple premise. It's just about a little girl who goes in to wake up her dad and says, "There's a monster under my bed." So I wrote that, and my friend Taylor Olson directed it, and it premiered at AIFF, Atlantic International Film Festival.
Yeah.
This past fall, and then Taylor and we now have like a 90-page feature of that one that we're really proud of. And I think it does hit a lot of the zeitgeisty, what like holding a mirror up to the world, which I just was saying, like, I think that that's what makes a great horror is like a bit of a thinker kind of thing.
Because you can really do it with any horror genre, like breaking down horror obviously itself isn't a genre, but like if you get the zombie one, like think of like the 28 Days Later, there's so many themes in that that's putting a mirror in front of society. So.
Oh, absolutely. And like that was a great one that it was very like government built, literally was called Rage.
Oh, right.
What was it, a vaccine that didn't work?
Yeah,
or something.
I should know this.
Or it was a vaccine.
Rewatched
it. I don't even want to put that in people's heads.
I was just gonna say, like, ooh, I hope it wasn't that.
It was some experiment that a monkey bit someone.
Yeah, they were experimenting. And whoops. Anyways, it happens. Ahead of its time again. But yeah, so you've got that's pretty cool. I didn't know that you have now Sweetie 90 pages. What would that runtime be? An hour
probably
and a half?
Spot on 90 minutes.
Okay.
Probably.
A page is a minute kind of
just
thing.
About. Yeah. Unless it's like, a good example of this is like Cahoots, which was like just like a fast talky comedy.
Yeah.
That was 18 pages for 11 minutes.
Okay.
And then Missy, where it's like Rob in the woods by himself. Rob walks down the road. Rob chops wood.
Not as much dialogue.
That was about 11 pages for 18 minutes.
Interesting.
Because that was like a little bit more dramatic and slow. But I'd say for a horror, they always say to like, I always found this super interesting with horror and comedy. They always said to keep it at 90 minutes because you can't sustain fear or laughter for longer than 90 minutes. Like people will get tired after that. Like it's too exhausted. Much almost.
Get that,
So yeah, just always trying to keep it as, and 90 minutes, those are the movies that I grew up on as a kid. And then they got so blown out as far as runtime is concerned. And now you're starting to see it come back to that tight little hour and a half.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm used to my fiance watching Bollywood movies that are 3+ hours.
Easy.
Now, no problem at all. But no, hour and a half is nice, especially, it's true. You think of those genres, you don't want them to be too long. If it's like Goodfellas, kind of that kind of movie, then you want to see the 100+ minutes, maybe 128 around there. But yeah, horror comedy, that's all you need. All right, well, that was a fantastic conversation, Jon. We're going to wrap it up with one more question. Typically, we when Lucy and I are just doing episodes, we cover some different marketing stuff and some advice for people that are entrepreneurs in that whole world. You are an entrepreneur as well, filmmaker, a little bit tougher business than your regular entrepreneurs like me and Lucy. But there are some of you out there that may be listening right now, and you've had a long career. It's still going, and this is like a potential another breakthrough. And I think something that as entrepreneurs we're all aware of is that there can be breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough, and then it can all go the other direction. Like it's kind of a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, never too up, never too down.
Never too up, never too down, of course. But for you, where you've been so far, what kind of advice would you give for someone that isn't just starting out filmmaking, is now kind of in it? Because we do have a scene here in Nova Scotia. whether to keep at it or what do you think from your experience?
Yeah, I think that follow through is important with anything. Like I have met so many people who, even just like people I knew as a kid, or if I go home to Fredericton, I run into someone and they say like, I've always had this idea for a movie. It's like, yeah, you should write it. Like, go for it, kind of thing. And then there's no follow through at all. Or it's like, here's my email. Like, send me an email. Like, I love talking to those people. But again, there's not a lot of follow through. But someone I met recently, she was a waitress at a restaurant downtown, and me and some coworkers went in for lunch. And she asked us what we did. We said we worked in film and TV. And she was like, "Oh, I've always been really interested in like set design." It's like, that's awesome. Like, here's my card. Like, if you have any questions or whatever, reach out. And by the time that I got back to my computer after lunch, I had an email from her already. So then invited her out to work on Sweetie. Like, just, do you want to come to set and just see what's up, kind of thing? Like, no promises. We can't pay you, but we'll have like coffee and craft to eat, sort of thing.
Yeah.
She came to that, and that was in January, and now she's like working on features as an art director. Like, she like obviously had like an education in it and is like a very artistic person. Like, she had the right, like, which a lot of people can. It's like, if you want to write, just start writing. If you want to direct, like, it's not going to be glamorous at all. And your movies might not be very good in the start, because like my movies were like terrible in the beginning. They're unwatchable.
I was just saying, the first podcast we did, I had the mics pointing the wrong way.
Yeah, on my coffee table.
Yeah, on your coffee table. So, I mean, everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think for someone, the one you spoke about, I mean, the hypothetical, like, oh, I want to write a movie. And I think they think too far in advance. They're like, well, okay, I'll write it, but how do I write it? And and then what? Like, how does it get made? And it's like, don't think that far down, like one step at a time.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like, if you don't, I find it to be like, it's a pretty isolating job, like not just writing or directing, but like being an entrepreneur in general is like pretty tough. And one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got in that was directly towards filmmaking and screenwriting, but I think it works for just about anything, is like, people will take you as seriously as you take it. So if you are serious about being a screenwriter or just being involved in movies at all, it's like, tell your family, tell whoever, for these 2 hours a day, I write, and like, leave me alone. And then it is amazing the ripple effect of like the people in your life who will start to take you seriously about it. Yeah. As you start to take it more seriously. And another friend of mine who has had an incredible career, he told me early on, like, you need to treat it like a job, like, because someday it will become a job. Yeah. And like, the star in your eyes type people about movies and what they think the business is all about, or what they think the process is all about, like, they fail pretty quickly. Yeah. And it is something that I feel really fortunate that I found what I loved at a very early age. And everybody who I know that has been able to make a career out of movies is like for the love of the game. Like, they love movies. They love collaborating with other artists. They love picking out what color the tablecloth is going to be in this scene, or whatever, what have you. But passion. Like, yeah, like beyond, like fanatical. Yeah. And then they have decent senses about them, decent like business sense, and they're really all very hard workers. So
you got to be. It's very much obviously you got to put in the hard work, and you got to be smart about how you run a start or run a business. But it is it's last man standing a lot of the time. Like, how long are you willing to sacrifice? Because yes, it is something that you love initially. You can fall out of love of it, but it's not going to be something that, like you said, like all starry-eyed, like, oh, I can work for myself, like my hours, whatever. It's like, no, like, it's going to be nonstop. It's going to be always on your mind, because it's your baby, whether it's a business or if it's your passion of directing a film or writing a film. Like, it doesn't get done unless you do it.
Right. Yeah. There's
and
the
it's
follow through.
Always going to be that.
Yeah. 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 And I always love, like, do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Like that is such bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
You actually work every day.
It actually just
life.
like consumes your entire brain, and
Mhm.
you start to get really annoying to the people around you because
Yeah.
all you can talk about is work. But
Yeah.
it's like all I want to talk about. It's
Exactly.
like the only time I'm not thinking about movies is when I'm watching a Leafs game. Like honestly. So
Go Leafs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Managed to bring up the Leafs on this podcast. Banned. No, I'm just joking. No, but it is true. Like you will work every day in your life. But I know me personally, like I couldn't have it any other way.
yeah, I agree.
Like I need like it's on my mind nonstop, but I know if like work needed to mean something to me.
Mhm.
Like when I first got into like I have a marketing degree, but my first marketing job lasted 18 days. I think I've told the listeners before. Maybe not the viewers on YouTube, but it just felt everything in my body felt wrong. Even though it was, it was fine paying, you're off at 5,
Mhm.
your weekends off.
Yep.
It never, I felt trapped the whole time.
Yeah, I had jobs before. Like I've been fortunate enough that I've been doing this full time since 2016.
Yeah.
But 2014 through 2016, like my stomach would hurt on Sunday nights thinking about going to work the next day. Like brutal. And I remember having this one particular job that I was like, this can't be the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Like I need to pick it up. Like I need to figure this out. So that's why I started making like documentaries on the weekends and being up till 4 a.m. editing docs to get up to go to the office job to pay the bills the next day.
Yeah.
That's
just how, like some people, like not discrediting people who are able to, switch it off or however you want to say it, go to a job. It's means to an end. You're just working fine, all good, but it doesn't necessarily need to mean that much to you. But I know for you and for me, like it needs to mean something. Otherwise I will just die or something. I don't even know.
I'm sure that you have this too, where it's like, it's not like, oh, I work in film. I love every project I work on. Like, there's still that like grind of like means to an end.
Yeah.
As well.
The bills have to be paid.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what my parents told me originally. Like they were like, as long as you can pay your rent, all good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, just give me until I'm 30. And I promise if it's not working at 30, then I'll stop. And that blew through that.
How old are we now? 36.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops. And then I love it too that like it got to a point with me where it's like I am I see my job as being like in service to movies. And like that is the thing that I care about the most.
Yeah.
Like outside of like family and my dog. Like movies, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I want to be able to like add to the history of cinema in a positive way. I want people to be like basically I just want to be like an advocate for the art form and to be able to work in and be like with this honor of a lifetime coming up in November. It has so gone beyond my expectations, and I would be equally as excited and happy if I was teaching like high school drama, like showing up for work to get kids excited about movies. Like that would be, I have all the time in the world for that. And I think that whatever you're going to do, you need to think of it like leave your ego at the door. It's like you are in service of this thing, because I heard an interesting quote once, like art can't defend itself. Like you can't, I'm going to try and think of an example of this. Like, let's say you have a script and it's 30-page script and you love it and you are going to direct it and you have a vision. Your job is then to like protect that script because nobody else is going to, and it can't protect itself. So it's like having that idea of that as like filmmaking and the industry as a whole. It's like, that's what keeps me kind of like motivated and inspired.
I love it. Movies are kind of like, they are the time capsule of life, at least like the modern world. Like people aren't, you can go and read a history book, but in terms of actual people, what they're doing, you're getting a view into that world at that time.
It's literally like, all it is lights and sound. And if you want to, like why wouldn't you just like watch a movie that was made at that time if you want to see what it was like, see and hear what it was like?
Exactly.
It's like, well, there's one place you can go. That's the movie theater.
Yeah. Nothing more romantic than that, am I right?
I know. There's something romantic about movies, that's for sure.
Doesn't matter what genre.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave it at that. Fantastic conversation, Jon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mark. Always appreciate
We're
it.
back. Kickstart. We're back. I swear. We might just
He's
have
back.
you on.
Mark's
We'll have you
back.
on like 10 more times
Sure.
for 2026.
Talk about this stuff all day.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and click that bell button so you never miss new episodes that are definitely coming out. And if you're listening, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you choose and leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'd love it. Or 4.5, whatever. Nothing below 4, though, for sure. All right, folks. Until next time, take care.